Good day. This is the fifth episode of our weekly podcast, Frankly Speaking, on things and matters concerning Jamaica. We will start with a look at the Sunday newspapers, and then I'll analyze an important news issue, the history-making event in the Jamaica Defence Force, JDF, with the command taken over for the first time by a woman. Then we touch on a lighter matter that has helped to make Jamaica special. Frankly speaking, my commentary is focused this week on one pervasive aspect of the lawlessness in Jamaica: street vending. Now, the Maroons have been the subject of recent discussion, and some consider one group has been flexing its muscles. That's the topic of Crosstalk with Desmond Richards and me as we close the episode with a look ahead. So, stay with me through these 17 minutes or so for another look at the nation we love, Jamaica, with Frankly Speaking, the podcast. Remember to share, comment, and subscribe. Now, the news and current affairs and opinion sections of the Sunday Gleaner and Sunday Observer are dominated by the news about the new head of the JDF, also about the Maroons, and some on the education system. The Sunday Gleaner editorial takes a thoughtful look at the states of emergency and rights and the thinking of former Chief of Defence Staff General Rocky Meade, who, in response to concerns regarding the SOEs and the suspension of some rights under them, said the right to life should supersede all other rights. Now the editorial swings to new head Rear Admiral Wemyss Gorman, and whether her thinking about the SOEs will be similar to that of Rocky Meade, and for that matter, another JDF man, now Commissioner of Police, Anthony Anderson. The Observer gives full interview with her, and the Gleaner has several stories too. Now, the tragic story of the toddler who died after apparently being forgotten and left in her father's car continues to shake us. The Observer leads with a story in which it canvasses legal opinion, which suggests that the father could be charged with manslaughter. The police investigations are ongoing. Horace Helps, in his commentary in the same paper, begs for people not to heap more suffering on the couple who must be hurting badly. A must read in the Gleaner is Caroline Cooper's piece on the Adventist Church and its views on matters raised by some of its leading lights, including Dr. Carl Archer, whose comments on rape are featured. A beautiful, almost unbelievable story in those two newspapers is the West Indies win over England in the first T20 series match. This past week, Jamaica got a new head of the Jamaica Defence Force. The new Chief of Defence Staff is Rear Admiral Anthony Wemyss Gorman. The appointment of the first woman to lead the JDF in its nearly 60-year history was broadly welcomed. Her ascent and confirmation to the leadership was well anticipated based on her place in the chain of command. The formal appointment ceremony at King's House Thursday and the ceremonial changing of command function Friday at Up Park Camp have brought again a focus, if only fleetingly, on the role and function of the JDF. The question still won't go away. Why do we need an army? Who is likely to want to invade Jamaica anyway? And is the army not one of those structures in Jamaica that deserves to be reviewed after 60 years? Is it the way it is constituted and commissioned to operate the best use of Jamaica's money? Not many answers have been forthcoming, officially at least, on these questions, but we know that the JDF has remained one of the most trusted and admired institutions in Jamaica. Vanderbilt University, in a 2018-2019 survey on attitudes to democracy in Latin America and the Caribbean, found that 65% of Jamaicans said they would tolerate a military coup if the takeover was to suppress crime. And nearly 60% would support the army leaving the barracks to curb corruption. Other public opinion polls and comments in the streets have found the JDF to be highly regarded and fundamentally to be more trusted than the police, the parliament, and the politicians. And in the security forces operations under states of emergencies and ZOZOs, it goes without saying that the presence of soldiers is given a high premium. In a society so short on discipline, the JDF is a magnet for admiration. Now, Rear Admiral Wemyss Gorman has pledged transparency and continued efforts to secure the nation. But she goes further, committing, she says, assistance in changing the culture of violence in Jamaica. The nation will wait to see how that is brought about. Now, onto a Jamaican perspective. I look at something that has helped or is helping to make this a special place or something unique to us. This week I'm stepping away from games and toys of yore, knowing full well that there are many games and toys that I did not touch in the first 4 episodes of Frankly Speaking. And they include Dandy Shandy and playing Dolly House generally. But I want to turn to another small feature of children's lives, perhaps going back to the 60s and even the 50s. Now, we had in Jamaica some sweets or sweetie with all kinds of fancy names and which were, we know, not good for us. But they predominated. Just to give you a taste of them: peppermint, staggerback, buster, icy mint, hacks, paradise plum, ginger mint, toffee, mint ball. All sweets. Most of them were made in Jamaica. The mint ball and icy mint are still fairly common. They're not made here anymore. But how these lowly sweets have reflected the demise of our currency. There's no sweetie available in Jamaica for less than $5 anywhere. And that's hard to find even at that $5. Now, the mint ball, yes, the mint ball, at least the larger of the 2 common sizes, sells retail for $10. The smaller ones, like these, go for $5 a piece if you can get them. Now, once upon a time, as recently as the early 2000s, cashiers and shop attendants used sweets as change, whether you liked it or not. But not anymore. They don't bother to give you back any change involving less than $5 anyway. But that's also for another time. Now to my commentary. Frankly speaking. Frankly speaking, the way we conduct ourselves in Jamaica leaves one to conclude, with good reason, that we are having a brutish, lawless, and of course violent existence, and that our people are intolerant, display dirty habits, and the public spaces are dangerous, unwelcoming, and chaotic. It seems we are ungovernable. I can say all that because I am a Jamaican, and I know it's all true. Now, where do we start in the description or the analysis? Should we talk about how dirty our streets and public places are? Should we start with the way our communities are noisy and we seem to tolerate noise everywhere and at any hour of the day or night? Should we start with the uncouthness and downright rudeness we dish out to our fellow men and women who require or are paying for a service? Where do we start? Or about just starting at, frankly speaking, one of the most pervasive displays of lawlessness in Jamaica: street vending. Now let's be clear about it. Frankly speaking, many of us come from poor or humble backgrounds or surroundings. Our forebears, mothers, grandmothers, fathers and uncles were vendors, hawking and peddling on the streets to help raise us. Which, frankly speaking, is to say we are not condemning street vending and its historical reality. But let us face facts. Frankly speaking, part of the lawlessness and disorder into which we have sunk is manifested in and contributed to by illegal street vending as practiced without boundaries today. It has never been like this on Jamaica's streets and public spaces, frankly speaking. Anywhere is a vending site, a place from which one can hang clothes, shoes and dry goods for sale. Anywhere is open to the direction of an ugly wooden structure called a stall for display of anything from fruits and vegetables to packages of snack and plastic basins or clothes. And anywhere has become a place for cooking with an open flame along the roadway where soup or jerked or boiled, whatever may be and is being sold. Never mind that there are no attendant sanitary facilities anywhere. Frankly speaking, any bus stop can be taken over to be operated as a stall or a shop. And sidewalks and some sidewalks have become the scene of block and steel structures illegally installed, constructed and operated as shops. Any shop front or business place or piazza or parking lot can be operated as a shop front. And anywhere and everywhere, one now finds motor vehicles, cars mainly, and vans used as displays for snacks, dry goods, and food. Those are parked in plazas or the roadway anywhere on the corner or intersection or capturing already limited parking spaces in the busiest parts of town. Anywhere, frankly speaking. No one parish capital in Jamaica today can say it is well ordered without chaotic, crippling street cleaning and is clean. Not one. And they all have people paid to achieve that. So we are not done yet, frankly speaking. Next time, we'll return to this. Now, to Crosstalk. The matter of the Maroons and their sovereignty has come up again, big time, in recent weeks. Prime Minister Andrew Holness raised eyebrows with an emotional pushback 2 weeks ago, reaffirming in the process that Jamaica is a unitary state and there was no other within these borders. Now here is Desmond Richards with his take, and then I'll respond.
We are not traitors, says Maroon Colonel Wallace Sterling, is the headline in today's Gleaner story, dealing with the ongoing saga between the government and the Accompong Maroons over sovereignty. Last week, Prime Minister Holness, along with other government officials, summoned the Maroon chiefs to a meeting to discuss the issue, minus Colonel Curry of the Accompong Maroon. Apparently, the meeting was called to discuss Curry's claim of sovereignty. The decision by the Prime Minister to meet face-to-face with the Maroons is a bold step, but leaving out Colonel Curry is tantamount to adopting the tactic used by our former colonial masters to keep us apart. In fact, this tactic was used both overtly and covertly in the peace treaty signed between the British and the Maroons. Maroons have rights under the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, and these rights should be respected. The government should bring all parties to the negotiating table and settle the matter once and for all. The divide and rule strategy has been proved to be disastrous in all aspects of the Jamaican society today, in education, politics, and the economy. Here is an opportunity to abandon this failed strategy once and for all. Leadership has weight, and it filters down.
So that was Desmond Richards. Now this matter of the Maroons and their claim, or the claim of some, for sovereignty is no plaything. The Prime Minister is right. There has been guerrilla warfare over claims by people within a state for their own autonomy and independence. All over the world, several examples are there to see. Sometimes the claims are based on religious rights or differences, or inheritance, the latter being broadly the case of the Accompong Maroons. The last thing we need in Jamaica now is another issue to divide us further. We are a divided people in many regards. even though we say out of many, one people. We are a divided people. And we don't need another issue of us against them. The matter of the Maroons has been simmering for years, but no one in government, at least at the level of Prime Minister, has given it legitimacy in the way Andrew Holness ironically has. Chief Richard Curry has taken on king-size profile over this and must be feeling a maroon warrior now. The Prime Minister, having plowed into the issue, is seeking to make some kind of difference and to resolve it. And already the words from the other Maroon chiefs who attended Friday's meeting with the Prime Minister suggests the Maroon communities are not a monolith. Let Curry tell us how he intends to pursue his claim to sovereignty. We can move on. Let Chief Curry tell us how he intends to pursue his claim to sovereignty. We can move on by trying to embrace all our people, and we can dump the idea of a separate Maroon state. Right, so Andre is with me, and I'm just wanting to ask him for his reaction to what was here. What dominated, what was the biggest thing for you, Andre? Tell us what's the biggest thing in this podcast for you.
Well, to be honest, the biggest thing was the fact of things that's happening internationally start to happen locally. You wouldn't even believe, because you hear about the news of people dying in cars in the States, but when it comes to it happening here, it's like, wait, what's happening? What's really happening? So that story is what stood out to me. Okay. I know there are other aspects with the new
JDF
head, right? And the Maroon of the whole segregation, having a body that separates a part of itself to meet with the leader of the country. That's in itself is a division. You understand? So it's a whole lot of things, but the strongest one was the child, because we don't know what that child could have come to
in life, grow up to be, eh?
Right.
Yeah. It's a hard thing, and we appreciate for the family too.
When kids die, because you don't know what. No man, it's
Yeah.
really
So
sad.
I want to thank our listeners, our viewers, for spending time with us again this week. Please comment and let me know issues you'd like to hear about on these podcasts. Tell us too your views on matters we touch on, that which impresses Andre or others. Remember to like and share and comment and subscribe. Until then, I'm Franklin McKnight with Frankly Speaking, the podcast. You can.
And I'm Andre. Thank you for having me.
Okay, beautiful.